Oh, the mistake, and McBreen's clean through on goal here to win it. What a miss from Daniel McBreen.
Fucking dog shit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to A-League Off Air. Yes, we are back. There were some 23rd hour discussions as to whether, we should really keep this fucking thing on the road. But we've decided to come back, at least go around one more time with feeling. So we have to start with an apology for last week for not making it. Basically, we record this podcast first thing on a Monday morning and I was commentating the Matildas. That afternoon, things just got away. Next day, Macca's doing his tactician, coaching. We've all got stuff on. And so basically, it wasn't possible last week. So we do record this, having just watched the final match of the round out of France, which this morning was Marseille versus Nantes, obviously, which has just finished. 2-0 victory for Marseille. They may well be back in the Champions League next season, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the A-League. I think in trying to explain why we were unable to get the pod out last week, I think it was Andy Harper that put it so eloquently during Macarthur versus Sydney FC. At least I assume he was talking about the absence of the pod this week when he said midway through the second half, "The buses rule the depot. Then the bell rings and they all head off on their different routes." Now, that did come out of the mouth of Andy Harper. I would say that's normally something you would associate to come out of the mouth of Tristan McManus or even myself during the pod. But no, it was the supremely eloquent Andy Harper. And I think it does perfectly sum up the fact that, all the buses headed off on different routes and we were unable to get them back to the depot to record the podcast. So here we are, talk about the highlights of the weekend. We are staunchly blinkered to be on all things A-League men, obviously, so we won't be talking about all the stuff that goes on elsewhere around the world. However, we will have to accept that the highlight of the weekend did not come in the A-League men's competition. Hats off, Aideen, Keane and Maja Markovsvski for the choreographed goal celebration at 1-1 Canberra United versus Melbourne City. We have been calling out for this on this podcast, and it's these two that have shown the blokes the way, as they so often do, women. There was something a little bit sinister about it when I watched it back again because Maja Markovsvski does do a salute before shooting her teammate. And I'm wondering if this is some sort of firing squad reference or something. Look, whatever. It was choreographed. Well. It was a goal celebration. And yeah, we watched it back, Macca. Aideen Keane, she feels the full brunt of that. This is not an air rifle or, a small caliber
it's a bazooka
pistol. This is a fucking land-to-air missile which lifts her off the ground and throws her backwards. Brilliant. Hats off Canberra United and the girls for a fantastic choreographed celebration. Let's get into the action then, Macca.
Hang on.
Well, before
I think
that,
there's probably some other people that people were thinking you were going down the path of the best thing on the weekend, and I think we have to mention it. The under-20s men's side, obviously, which seemed to slip your mind, Robbie. Yeah.
It did, absolutely. I was only on choreographed celebrations.
But we can talk about this because it is a lot of A-League. They're nearly all A-League players, and it is, I think, and I think everyone will say the same, is that the amount of minutes young men are now getting in the A-League is having a direct correlation to our success in this stuff. And I think that's only going to continue if we see the minutes that these young players are getting in the A-League. They're stepping up and now doing on the international stage, and to do that for the first time, to win the Under-20 Asian Cup is a fantastic achievement to the team, everyone involved. So hats off to them, and long may it continue into the World Cup.
Okay, that was all very serious and
Sorry,
first
mate.
degree,
Yeah.
Macca. What the fuck?
Sorry, I'm just trying to talk over the top of the fuckwits with the whippersnippers and lawnmowers next door that seem to switch it on just as we started. So if you can hear that, I apologise.
No,
if you can't,
hear it.
don't worry about it.
Oh, good. All right. Yes, no, fair play to the under-20s and the fact that, you know, Melbourne Victory have clearly done the best business. Is Battolato, has he gone there on loan from Western Sydney or has he signed there?
On loan, I think.
Because, mate, they could have, if they'd signed him and then he'd gone off and had that and then they sell him, he's just terminated his contract with Western Sydney, joined Melbourne Victory on a free and then player of the tournament. Fair play. It'll be good to see him get some minutes, hopefully. I mean, fuck, Melbourne Victory will get to it, but they could use someone that knows where the goal is. Correct. Or, you know, how to play a pass or run. Anyway, we will get there. I've got to find my right notes. Where are we? Okay, we started on Friday night, Wellington versus Melbourne City. This one we do have to have a big talk about as well because...
Get it out your system, Robbie. Get it out your system. Go.
Listeners... No, okay, so I'm going to turn it around because this is what we have to try and do on this podcast. We're basically at the pub having a chat about the football. That's the idea. That's the concept. Although it is, you know, before 10 a.m. on a Monday morning. I'm going to try and generate that. Should we tell people on Saturday? Oh no, we'll get there when we get to our game. So Melbourne City. Obviously, we're going to talk about Wellington and how fucking shit they are, and how it's just been an absolute disaster. Failed to score again. Melbourne City. Yes, they had chances, but they've gone through their own spell of not being able to score a goal. And here again, 1-0 against Wellington. Now, I'm not saying you should put 4 past Wellington every game. You know, basically that you're not going to concede, so you can be a little bit more ambitious going forward against Wellington. Marco Tilio could have had, I guess, a couple of goals. Perhaps should have. Kai Truan had a good header as well. Max Caputo. It was they were dominant, but they are really struggling to score. In the end, it was Marco Tilio who scored in back-to-back goals in the 50th minute. Was a nice finish, but they still required that Pat Beach save to deny that off-target Corbin Piper header.
It was 100% off target because the statisticians have said that was no shots on target for the Knicks, and we know that statisticians get fuck all wrong, so it must have been going either, was it just wide or just over? So Pete Beach could have actually just let it go. But look, I'm going to sit
and say... Didn't need to make the save. Does it even count as a save then?
Well, it can't, can it? Because it was going wide. So
I don't think so.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the statisticians are too much, like the referees, got too much into the A-League off-air
that's it.
way of reading things.
Yeah,
and so exactly. Wellington never get a shot on target, so even when they do, they can't
get it. Yeah.
It's the angles. It's the TV. It's the camera angles.
Which was actually fucking blown out of the water, and we'll get to that too about our fucking no pens in New Zealand theory. So referees have fucked that right up.
Exactly.
But look, let's talk real. Fuck me. Yep. Say it again. They're boring. They are boring. And I'm going to put up here and say it early too. The other team in yellow, the Mariners, fuck me. They are boring. The 2 yellow teams, my God.
Yeah.
Now, I've banged on and on and on about the stats, and I'm not a big stats man, but obviously the stats do paint a picture when you look at them. And I've said all along that when you create very minimal chances and you sit deep and invite lots of shots against you, it cannot last. And I think we're now starting to see that. Yes, they've lost players, but the way they set up to play, Costa Barbarouses has now got 1 goal in 9 games. That's a penalty. He can't do it all himself.
His 100th goal.
Yep.
He was waiting for a while for it as well to bring up the century.
So they just don't create much, do they? And as I've said before.
But they have their new boy. They brought in Chico. The Portuguese playmaker, he started like a house on fire, I think. And even in this game, he was, I think what was it was reported that the week before when they lost 6-1 to Auckland, that Chiefy was saying, get the ball to Chico, as though he was, the Henry Hoare of...
Yeah,
Brisbane. Exactly. He's the savior.
But you can't... unless he's a Messi or a Maradona. Come on. I can remember years ago when I was at the Mariners, must have been 2010-11, and we got Perez in. And at training, Arnie put a red bib on him. Everyone else was in yellow in that team and put a red. And he said, when you get the ball, you find him. But that doesn't suit the ethos because, if it's not the right pass and everyone's trying to find that one guy all the time.
Yeah.
Again, like I talk with Costa can't bear the weight of scoring all the goals with getting 1 or 2 chances a game. You can't expect him to shoulder the weight of all the creative play going forward as well. Maybe he has the ability to do that, but it's a team game and you need to be able to use different avenues to get there. When you look at Melbourne City, still got players out, let's be honest, I think they could have scored quite a few goals in this game.
Yeah, they probably should have.
They should have scored more goals in this game.
They're not scoring either, which is the issue.
Where are they in the table? They're right up there pushing. They're in that group of 5 teams or 6 teams that are all right there, a point off second or equal second, whatever it is. So they're still getting it done, even though they've had all these players out. I just find Wellington Phoenix fucking boring. When I know that game's coming up, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And a week is a long time in football, but so is a year. And we're fucking starting to see Chiefy out signs in the stands when All Hail the Chief was there last year. So I think it's a really tough time for the Knicks going forward.
Alex Rufer was back in the starting lineup for the first time since glandular fever, or trying to play through it, and then eventually now he's back. But he said after the game, they basically have to win, I think it's their last 8 matches now. Like, that's literally come out of the captain's mouth.
Yeah.
Now we don't have any choice. We've got to win our last 8 to have any chance of, forcing our way into finals football. It is a fall from grace, but as you say, it's a problem that's faced many of the teams, which is, and you look at the Mariners as well, and we'll chat about the Mariners in the next game, because there was something that struck me watching the Mariners game, and it's the fact that there are so many changes in the squad and so many kids there. But it's the way it is across the board. You need your senior players to step up. I don't think we've seen the best out of Tim Payne. Scott Wootton, and is not the player he was last season either in terms of leading that desperation. Everything. Rufer's been out, but you have to adapt. And I have a question for you, Macca. When I was watching this one, I was thinking they're still trying to play out from the back. They're inviting the press. They're playing out. It's been something that's hampered them all season. Okay, fine. They want to keep playing out from the back. They want to suck teams in, hit them on the counter attack. Okay, all well and good. But they don't seem to be able to press high on the other team and prevent the other team from monopolizing possession, even
in their half.
Why can't, if you're that determined to play out of a press, surely at training, you're training with the high press, and you should be working on how to implement a high press yourselves. And so not only are they struggling to play out, they're also struggling to do any sort of press on themselves. So they're literally inviting pressure the whole game. Yep. The whole game, not just half the time, the whole fucking time.
Yep. Where'd the goal come from? Turnover playing out as they were going from back third to mid third. And Tilio's the quickest to react on the other side because they're spread out wide. He's just inside. He's got the inside run and he gets there first. But yeah, look, sometimes you look at Costa up front on his own and they play out and you think, well, they could go long to play with his pace, but I think everybody knows now and we spoke about this.
But he comes short. He comes running he's coming straight down the middle and looking for that first time layoff.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking if he knows now that if he makes the runs in behind, that everyone knows they're just already 2 centre backs are just coming across, one in front, one behind, and he's finding it really difficult. But they seem that this is it. This is what they're going to do, and this is how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I've been talking off air over the last few weeks of saying, all this high press and playing out from the back. There's going to be this revolutionary new style where they play a big centre forward up front with a fast guy off him, and they'll lock the ball up to one to either flick it on or pull it down on the chest, and they'll all run off him, and everyone will be like, "Look at this," and we're like, "Yeah, it's cyclical football, isn't it? Everyone wants to play out, so everyone's high pressing. We'll fucking miss the press, and they'll go bang up there." Little and large up top with wingers coming off them as well, and two midfielders who know the ball's going long, so they get up second ball. And you're like, how long do you just keep bashing the same, your head against the wall and waiting for it to change? I don't know.
Well, we're seeing, I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but we saw that at international level where Spain were playing this great football of being able to play out at the back. But then, all the other teams said, well, we can't do that, so we're just going to launch it long to Olivier Giroud, who's never going to score, but he's just going to put himself about, knock it down, Mbappe or Dembele will score, and that's another French football reference for you all on A-League Off Air. But that's the way that's become the successful way of countering it.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's the definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. If their teams are going to commit 6 players forward in the press, well, if one pass can take 6 players out of the fucking game, why wouldn't you do that? Is that not the best pass in the game?
Yeah.
And it's, again, with this old argument, it's not booting the ball forward, it's playing an intelligent pass forward to take 6 players out of the game. Why are you risking 17, 18 passes in the back third with all this inviting pressure?
Exactly. Wellington on that note, if we're talking about going back to the 80s or, the old lumpet long number 9, I was going to save this for a little bit later when we got to Sydney's game, but how much does Douglas Costa look like a 1980s footballer with his shorts that are too small and his shirt that's too small? And he literally looks like an old, 1986 Norwich forward who's winger.
Yeah.
Who's wearing his old.
So let's go stats, right? I'm going to go back to stats again, and I know stats you can look at them any way you like. Goals: Wellington Phoenix 17. Now I'm pretty sure I heard in the call that they said 7 of their goals are from set pieces. So 10 goals in 18 games have come from open play. Then you've got shots on target. Wellington. And that 17 is second last, by the way. Shots on target, 48 in 18 games. Perth Glory have 66. Touches in the opposition box, 269. The Mariners and Perth Glory are next with 344 and 345. Successful open play crosses, 21. Melbourne Victory is next with 29. Shots on target faced, 96, which is second behind Perth Glory, who was second lot worst. Perth Glory have 120 shots on target face. Expected goals, Wellington Phoenix, second last. Only Perth Glory with below, but those two are at 16 point something, and the next worst, Central Coast Mariners, is 20. So they're way behind there. And expected goals against, their mid-range on that one. But look, most of those stats, particularly the attacking stats, they are so far away, which means, as I said, added pressure on. If you get a chance, you've got to fucking score it, because it's the only chance you're going to get. Most strikers at the very elite level will have 2 or 3 opportunities, or 3 or 4 opportunities sometimes in a game to score their goal. In A-League, I think it's more around 4 or 5 generally chances to score. If you're only getting one a
Costa's
game,
getting one.
you're just killing your odds. So anyway, Melbourne City, they got the job done. Tillier's starting to look sharp already. The young kids are still doing it for him. Rahmani was heavily involved again. Zane Schreiber played. They just keep on keeping on, and I actually think if City get all their players back in 5 or 6 weeks before finals, look out for them in the finals.
Yeah, they put that run of three games, 3 scoreless games and 3 losses behind them now. They've bounced back. So you're mentioning 1 win in 9 for Wellington. It's now 5 without a win, and they lost their last 3. on the bounce as well. So 2 points from 15, which has seen them get overtaken by the Newcastle Jets. But they're not the only team that's been overtaken by the Newcastle Jets. Let's head to the Sunny Coast, where the Central Coast Mariners were defeated by 3-1 by Western United. As I said already, that's now 6 without a win for the Central Coast. Macca, you called this one.
Yeah.
We did see the Central Coast fight back a little bit after they'd conceded that first goal, but on the balance of play and over the 90 minutes, you can't just have a good 15-minute spell and an own goal and hope that that's enough to get you back in contests here.
No, not at all. The first half was dire.
It was.
It was like watching paint dry, to be honest. It was like the Mariners didn't even want to try and go forward. The amount of times you saw at the back, Brian Kaltak just stand there with the ball waiting for Western United to come out and press, and Western United sort of went, we're in our mid-block, fuck you. You do something with it.
Yeah.
And the first half was, it was excruciating, to be honest. I've got to get the one caveat I will give both teams is it was fucking humid. There was no wind. It was really still, and it was very, very humid in that first half. A breeze picked up at halftime and into the second half, so that probably might have helped a little bit, but it was humid. But it was, there was nothing really expect going forward from the Mariners, in my opinion. And it wasn't until they conceded that goal that they said, oh, shit, righto, we need to step on the gas here and do something, because they didn't get a shot on target in the first half. But Western United, they look good, don't they? Johnny Odoisi, he's got a good balance. Nearly across the park, there's an experienced player next to a young player.
Okay, so this is my point. Before we talk about Western United, then I think that's the key point here about what's going wrong at the Mariners. We say every year, they bring through young players. I think last season they had the youngest team or second youngest team with Newcastle. It's the same again this year, except when you look at that, and it's not even front third. They had Mikael Docker, who was there. Okay, yep. They had Kaltak and Storm Roux. Now, Storm Roux is...
Danny Vukovic.
Oh, no, this year, I mean on the weekend
sorry.
now. Yeah.
They didn't have Storm Roux this weekend.
Okay, so because I was thinking, is he there or not? I was only watching that.
It was Kulusevski.
Okay, yeah. So, Kulusevski, Duarte, who came on, DiPizio, Hayne Eames, only, 17. All these kids that... DiPizio's been injured most of the season. Duarte is injured most of the season. Moragas has a few games under his belt. And this is not a criticism of the kids. But last season, as you say, with Vukovic, they had these leaders at each line that were important. Even Ballard and Nisbet were young, but they'd played. They had experience in it. They'd been there.
Yeah.
This year, you look at that team and you think, but they don't have any matches under their belts. And we're seeing it, when you reference what happened with the young Socceroos at under 20 level. It's because they're on the pitch. It's because they know how to deal with game situations, how to manage game situations. And this team, all very talented young players coming through, looking forward to seeing them develop. And it's been the case maybe the last couple of years with Western United, who have had the kids post that championship year, but, don't have the consistency. Now we're seeing a Grimaldi, a Shamoon able to step in, step up, with your Thurgates or whatever. But they are just lacking so much. Jacko and his assistant, what's his name, Schofield, are doing, what they can. Josh Rose is there. But at some point they just have to accept, look, sometimes it's going to click, but other times it's not, because these kids just don't have the experience under their belts to do this. And in pressure situations now, that's 6 without a win. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to fight for finals football. And that pressure on kids that have only played 6 games, 12 games.
And even if you look at the attacking
them.
Options they had last year, Tulio would, an experienced footballer would turn something on that would change the game.
Exactly.
He would take that. That's my responsibility. Angel Torres, I know no one wants to talk about him because of what he's done, but he was the same. He would lead the line in certain areas and go, right, well, I'll take the game by the scruff of the neck. In the midfield, you had two players who had played something like 60 games together side by side with uninterrupted. So they knew each other inside out and had been around for 3-4 years getting blooded in. I don't think you can't get it right every year. It's extremely hard to do it when you're on a budget and you're trying to find diamonds in the rough all the time. And I think, Jacko's found that this year that maybe they didn't get some of their signings right. Maybe some of the foreigners they've brought from overseas aren't of the quality or that they expected, or could an Aussie player just have done that is my question as well. Whereas you look at flip where we were starting to go is Western United. They've brought in Isuzu, who's playing along a up-and-coming Botic, and those two seem to be working really well together. You've got an 8-year veteran of the A-League at 25 years of age in Thurgate in the middle next to a Bozanovski. You've got Imai at the back next to a 17-year-old Leonard. On the left, majority of the time, you've got Garuccio behind a 20-year-old or whatever he is. Wallity.
On the left, Wallity.
Yeah. All across the board, you're looking at all these players where they seem to complement a junior player, a senior player, young player, senior player. And you're like, that's where they're getting this success, and they're getting the best out of each other. And Scott McKinnon made a good point in the pre-game. He said, because we were talking about how these senior players guide these young players and give them the experience. And I never thought about it, but he said, and some of those young players make the older players give a little bit more because they're around the young people. And I was like, yes, that actually works too. And I think I said it at the time, when we were at the Mariners, we had a good senior crew, but the young Sainsbury's coming through and your Matty Ryans and your Bernie Abinis and Musti Aminis, they keep you young as well because they're younger guys and they like to have a laugh and a joke. And, you go, oh, yeah, I'll muck around with these guys. And they give you energy as an older player. And I'll admit, and I said it, I thought Western United were going to come last. And I don't know if I said that before all their signings, but I remember thinking they're so young, they're going to have to sit back and defend, and they're going to have to go on the break. And Ibasuki's not going to work that way because he's not quick enough now to get up into the box. Fuck that. They just play the ball through the lines. The football they play is fantastic. They mix it up as well, which we've talked about. Wellington don't do. They have that outlet to go and hit Ibasuki if he wants to stay high and drop it onto his chest. But he even drops into the pocket sometimes and lets Botic run in behind. They look good. I really like them. And John Aloisi's done a really good job with them. And I think he's assembled a squad and he's worked with them really, really well.
Yeah, Ibasuki is in a bit of a goal drought, but you don't even see it. Because he was scoring the goals at the start. Yeah. Botic was in and out of the team. But now Botic is up to double figures, 10 goals. He's leading the Golden Boot race. I think he's scored 7 in his last 7. Luke Vickery was on the score sheet. That was a really nice goal, by the way, that Botic
It was a really
scored.
Good goal. This fuckwit, he's getting closer and closer. I think he's going to come in my back room with this whippersnapper. Anyway, the goals were wonderful. The Noah Botic's goal, Ibasuki and him were both there. If Botic wasn't going to score it, Ibasuki was going to score it. But the movement on that goal was fantastic. It started at the back with Angus Thurgate, and the small details that sometimes people miss are Angus Thurgate won that ball, and it would have been so simple to play the safe ball sideways just to keep it. But he threaded the ball between two defenders and played it to someone who could turn and face forward. And that was the immediate straight away got him on the front foot. When that happened, at that stage, Botic and Danzaki both ran central together and almost ran into each other. But they, instead of just going, oh shit, they both readjusted and went wide again, which kept moving the Central Coast defence. And as that's happening, Ibasuki's moving the opposite way as well. And then the ball in behind, and I can't think who played the ball now off the top of my head.
It's Grimaldi,
Grimaldi, yes. Hit the ball, you could see it coming just as he took his touch that way. You're like, okay, Danzaki, you've moved in, you moved out, now's the time to run. And it was poetry in motion. And then for him just to also not be selfish and try and poke it past keeper and just lay it central for his striker, it was beautiful football. And it's a testament to the way that they play, that even that simple ball, the so-called simple ball from Angus Thurgate, that's what set them going and got Mariners on the back foot. And it was brilliant to watch.
Okay, we can't. Just one quick word on Scotty McKinnon, who, if anyone's going to stay young, it's a newsreader who spends half his time surfing and living his best life. So fair play, Scotty. No wonder he made that reference. He's hanging out there on the beach with all the kids, surfing the whole time while he's got a grown-up's job. Fair play. By the way, I went down to the beach yesterday with my daughter, trying to keep us young. We got in the water about 10 minutes before just what would you call it? An invasion of blue bottles. Yeah. Probably 5 million blue bottles. And I guess, is that because it's an easterly? Is it currents? Yeah. Is it?
There's a wind.
Wind?
Yeah.
It's the wind that blows them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, bloody hell.
You told me there's storms out, cyclones out off the coast of. Maybe that's the winds.
That was Josh. That was. I did think that actually. I was wondering that. Queensland sideline, Josh McLean was talking about that. So we do have to talk about Michael Roos. Now, where do you stand on the no celebs? Because and look, just to set the scene, Michael Roos, he's been involved. He provided the ball across the face for Vickery's goal. It was a little bit lucky when the ball came back to him, but it was well played, fair enough. This one, the ball comes back to me, was there when Danzaki shoots. It comes back to him another time. It's an amazing shot. Like, it is really well struck. It's a bouncing ball that's rising. He just obviously doesn't give a fuck. He just wellies it as hard as he can in off the underside of the crossbar. And then he does I'm not celebrating. He played half a season at the Central Coast.
I was going to say, maybe if he was a 10-year veteran.
In one game.
Against Western Sydney, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And he started 3 games in his entire Central Coast career.
So you've asked me the question. Mate.
And all his teammates are jumping on him and everything.
Look, if you've been at a club for 5, 6, 10 years, something long term, and you've played, 100 games, 100, 200, whatever, then maybe, because you've got 6 months. Fuck that, I'm celebrating. I remember when I signed for the Mariners.
They let you go. They didn't even want you. You went off to fucking Western,
you'd give it the big
Western
fuck
United.
You, wouldn't you?
Telling the grandstand to shut the fuck up.
Giving it the big Arnie going, you didn't want me. You didn't want me.
Exactly, the Terry Antonis against Western Sydney.
Yes.
The halfway goal last year. Exactly.
No, I'm not having that. I would have celebrated I would have just celebrated. Not a problem. Not a problem.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on.
But Bocic keeps giving us a different celebration every time, and I like it.
Yeah, true.
He was,
and did you in the post game? Well, you were there.
Yeah.
Johnny A seemed to know what he was on about.
He said, "Is that what the Rock is cooking?" I don't know.
So is that a wrestling reference? Yeah. I assume. I can only assume because fuck, who knows?
WWE.
Yeah, okay. Not the World Wildlife Foundation.
No, not anymore.
Which we had there, yeah. All right, let's keep moving. Coming. Let's head back across the ditch. But get your teammates involved.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, if you know you're going to score, you've scored in 7 in a row, or 7 in 7, fucking get Hero and Danzaki involved with some really intricate fucking Japanese group goal celebration. Be brilliant. Anyway, all right, let's head back across the Dutch. Auckland 4, Adelaide 4. Now, Macca, this one was on just while we were settling in to commentate the next game. We had it on the little computer watching it. 16,000 fans.
Well done.
Great game. What can you say? The first one between them ended 3-3 in Adelaide with
2-2, wasn't it?
3-2.
2-2. Yeah.
2-2 with the Rogerson.
And Adelaide didn't learn from the tacticians' fucking analysis. And I even showed a fucking video of them last time conceding in the 90 fucking whatever minute
99
from a corner. And I even threw in a fucking throw-in on the tactician to say that they've got long throws as well. And lo and behold, how do they score? Guillermo Moy scores a fucking bomb. Keeper, we had a chat about this.
Coxie,
should he have moved his feet? we think he sort of just dove from his spot, but if he actually moved his feet and got across a little bit more, maybe he could have got there. But set pieces, a throw in, Ethan Allegich just stands and watches his man run off his shoulder from the penalty spot.
Yes.
Into the near post area and taps it in from 2 yards out on a throw in. I'm sure Carl would be pointing that out to him in the video session this Monday morning.
Yeah.
And again, De Vries now, is he the most underrated fucking delivery expert in the league? His set piece delivery, and I'm not even going to get the start on his general play, which I think's been fucking unreal as well. His delivery from set pieces is fucking spot on. Everyone's been talking about Kota Mizunuma since he come into the league. Fair call. But I don't think there's enough people talking about Francis De Vries' delivery from set pieces because he is fucking quality. And it showed it again on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That one where I mean, Matta, again, do we talk about Ethan Cox just getting caught? I mean, he's on his goal line. You've got to be the master of a ball coming in on your goal line. Yeah. But this is something that Auckland work on.
100%.
Steve Corica has a history of, at Sydney, of working these set pieces to the minutest detail of blocking runs, of putting big bodies in places, making life difficult for everyone. But it does all come down to De Vries' delivery at the end of the day. You can have everything in place if you don't have the person that can put it onto Rogerson's fucking head half a yard out. But again, like it was in the 100th minute at Cooper's, he doesn't even jump.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to jump. He's just standing there and the ball hits him on the head because Cox has got, I think it's Barnett and Matta in front of him. In between and can't get there. But
Barnett
you've still got to get there.
Yeah, the defender has to be strong enough there that he's not clattering into the keeper, so the keeper can actually run around him.
Exactly.
And he's just got caught behind them again. I think he should have been away from that tussle enough that he could step around and get a punch out because it was from a yard out or nearly on the line. You've got to get your defenders to protect you, and you've got to be very nimble and move around. Let's not take away from the delivery from De Vries, but let's just have these two play each other every week.
Just before you move on, yeah, exactly. It is entertaining. De Vries, there's an interview I saw about his career and his journey, the prick of the journey that it is, as Cameron Watson so beautifully described it on this very podcast. His prick of a journey was starting in New Zealand, obviously. He headed to Switzerland where he thought, I'm a fucking good player in New Zealand. I'm going to Switzerland. He went to Switzerland as a kid in the youth system and just was the rude awakening, like, oh, fuck, I'm actually nothing special here whatsoever. His parents were European immigrants to New Zealand, so he grew up in the football environment. Didn't make it in Switzerland. I think from there he went to the US to go through the college system, managed to get drafted, but the draft in the US isn't actually a contract. It's a trial. Like we want you to come and trial for us. So he went and trialed with, I can't remember which team it was. In the end, they said, look, we'll sign you to our second division USL team playing in the national second division. After a season, back to New Zealand, thinking, fucking hell, where am I going with this? He's still just a kid and thinking, all right, well, this is pretty much the end of it. In New Zealand, I think it was with Canterbury, he starts playing again and he says, the thing that saved me and saved my career was that it was a great bunch of lads. We're playing, we're having fun, and you get your love of the game back. He wants to go back to America. No deal, no one there, no one in America, no nibbles. Calls a mate who's playing in Scandinavia.
That's where I'd head to if I was a young man.
Who says, call my agent, and see if he can find you something in Scandinavia. And this is the amazing part. This guy says, I can't do anything for you at the moment, but if you want, come over. You can play in my granddad's team. Not play with my granddad in the team my granddad runs. They were in the fucking Swedish 7th division, an amateur team training 2 nights a week. And he went over there and played with them just to keep basically fit.
To be there, yeah.
Then to try and sign with like someone in the Swedish 3rd division, moved to fucking the Finnish 3rd division, got promoted again. In Sweden, he was working like in a metal turning factory and training, trying to live the dream, go and get a job doing something else while training and playing.
Let's get him on here. Let's get him on. We want to hear this.
Exactly. Well, I've just told you now. Fuck him.
But
unreal. And then he comes back, again.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't he in Ireland? Or was that? No, that was Pineacre, who was in Ireland in the end, fucking kicking around and, crazy shit. He was. Oh no, that's why he went to Sweden because he signed with someone in the MPL or about to sign with someone in the MPL in Australia, and he said 2 days before my flight to come to Australia to sign for an MPL club, the coach said, "I've signed someone else, so fuck it." And so it's just this. If ever you're going to question yourself. Fucking hell, seriously.
That's football. That is exactly what football's like.
Exactly.
I was stuck
It's a prick of a journey.
Yeah. I remember being stuck in London and at the time, years ago, and I was like, it was Saturday and I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, I've got enough money for a flight home. I'm going to book it on Monday. And on Sunday, I got the phone call from the agent going, this club wants you up there on Sunday afternoon to train on Monday. And that was Falkirk and I ended up signing with them. And there's another, however many years of football after that. And I was resigned. I'm just going home. I've got no money left. It can turn like that, like in a dime. And now look at these guys. They're flourishing and they're flying.
Yeah. Kiwi International.
Yeah.
De Vries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about someone else who does good delivery. I did note here, where the fuck are the Estonian flags? Because they've all gone. Out of that. Maybe that was just the first to get us through the first couple of home games. There are no more Estonian flags in the crowd. I don't know if Estonia got pissed off as a country and started some sort of, process against them. Zach Clough is good on delivery, and this is going to lead us to the big fucking talking point, the other talking point of the weekend, which Daniel Elder has clearly fucked up for everyone. No penalties in New Zealand, mate.
Yeah.
And Steve Corica was pissed off because he thought that rule
he
still
knew the
applied.
Rule. Yeah, he knows the rule that we all know. You don't fucking give penalties in New Zealand. And, that was blown out of the fucking
Were
water.
these soft for you?
Look, the first one, I was like 100%. When I saw the replay, I was like, well, he's kicked him. He's kicked him. It's a foul. It's a penalty. I can see why Stevie would be
It's a classic VAR penalty for me. That's a classic VAR penalty because Alagic just jumps back up and chases after him. Yeah. Alagic doesn't appeal at all.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And because it was minimal, he did kick him. Don't get me wrong. He got his foot in between the ball and the defender. The defender kicks him. And look, I could see why. If I was in Auckland, I'd be like, for fuck's sake, seriously. But on the other hand, if I'm Adelaide, I'm like, it's a foul. The other one, I can see both sides of the argument as well.
Yeah.
If it wasn't given, you'd be like, I've seen him given. If it is given, you're like, that's, it's so
it's on the soft side.
I don't have a problem with either penalty, if I'm honest, but I can see why, depending on what side of the fence you're on, why you'd have such a very fucking clear, that's never a pen or that is a pen. That's the way I see it. It's one of the, they're two of those ones.
All right. I thought we were chatting about this game sort of later that night because, or was it maybe it was during the game and we were preparing for our match. And I was, there's a lot of chat about Zach Clough and what how he's, was he player of the year last year for Adelaide?
I think so.
I think so, that in their ranks anyway. And I just think he's been disappointing this season. Stefan Mork was dropped for this one, perhaps only because Zach Clough's set-piece delivery is so important. He keeps ticking over those. I mean, we talk about De Vries. Zach Clough's another one. Those balls to the near post where Archie Goodwin gets the glancing header, that led to Jordan Elsie's goal in this one. They are outstanding. And to be fair, I think in this game, he actually had one of his better games this year. He got on, his movement was good. He got into good scoring opportunities. But otherwise, I've been sort of sometimes scratching my head thinking...
Underwhelmed?
You know, a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, and
not
I think
not on this occasion.
No. But I get it. Sometimes, though, when someone has a real good standout season, because his first couple of years, we kept saying, you can see he's got something, but he's not quite getting there. And then all of a sudden, bang, last year, you're like, okay, now we're starting to see him. So then you start to expect that every week in, week out, don't you? But
that's what you want. He's played Premier League football or whatever, Bolton Wanderers.
But also, you got to think the opposition notices that as well. So then it's like, well, we've got to stop him. Don't let him get the ball. What's his name? Stefan Mork. He's been very good, I think, this year. Is he as good a ball player as Zach Clough? No. But he's been great. Is that because everyone's like, don't let Zach Clough get the ball because he'll thread a little pass here or he'll whip one into the, bend one to the back corner or roll someone in? Maybe that's why Stefan Mork's got a little bit more time and space and been able to do what he's been able to do because Zach Clough has drawn people away from him. But he was good this weekend. And
final point then.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
I also said that Auckland conceded nearly all their goals in that triangle from the penalty spot to their posts, and where were they all scored?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I have a couple of points.
Just giving myself pats
about
on the
this
back
game
here,
as
Robbie.
well. Huh?
I'm just giving myself pats on the back here.
Exactly.
If we're doing this, I'm
trying to move on. Fucking hell. We're just run an episode of The Tactician, then we don't have to fucking go through all this hoopla every fucking Monday morning.
Yeah. If we're going to fucking do it, I want some fucking kudos for it.
All right. It was a great finish. Sakai, again, maybe question mark on Cox for just patting the ball out from that header straight back to him, but it was a close header. I don't know. I think... What are you thinking on?
You've reminded me now. We've called him out on the long strike. We've called him out on the corner. I'm calling him out on that again. It's like he pushed his hands.
He just paddled
forward.
It. Yeah, exactly. He didn't have it. He could have just let it come into him.
Yeah, or at least use those soft hands to just kill it, like drop it in front of you. But it's like he pushed it out.
Yeah.
It was sus.
Can I say something very,
no,
a little too, okay, I won't say it.
Because I know what you're going to say.
Okay, I won't go there. The final goal, Bart Vriens, 98th minute. Now, I had to go back and watch this because our game had already started and you were pointing at the computer while we were commentating.
I missed it, but I just saw him celebrating, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I've watched it back.
So, watched it back. This goal lacks, and I like the fact that it's in Auckland. Like in France, when you have a goal that's scored like that in the last second away, and you have that silence that falls over the French call it, you've turned on the aircon. Like you turn on the aircon and it just freezes everything down and everything just goes. And so you've got some great aircon goals in history. This one was an aircon goal, except that it was a shit goal, and the celebration was shit. And where were the Adelaide players running from everywhere? I mean,
you've on his
in
ass.
front of 16,000, you've just come back, lost it, and then you come back again. I mean, fuck.
Well, he got knocked on his ass, didn't he? That killed it. He was running and fucking someone racked into him. He fell on his ass and it was like, oh, well, that's over then. Fuck. Oh, even if he was going to take
it was the fucking 12-year-old. It was the 12-year-old tattoo that landed him on his ass as well. I mean, it's just, it was an underwhelming finish to what should have been that should have been the start of that rivalry.
Yeah.
Of celebrating,
giving it
there
to him
in front of the port, going for it. The aircon's on, but nothing.
Giving the old come on, where are you now? The hands behind the ears. Fucking
Yeah, exactly.
I would have done a Marino and done every fucking celebration I could that winds the opposition up.
Exactly. Down in front of the bench. Can you imagine? There's no better bench between Steve Corica and Danny Hay. Because they were doing it. Remember, Steve Corica giving it to Coopers after their late equaliser.
Yep.
Such a missed opportunity. I mean, we didn't get the footage of Carl. I hope Carl was going full nuclear meltdown, which, you can only hope. I'm sure he was. So anyway, final point on this. We've spoken about it with what you'd like to see from Wellington. And maybe this is another reason why Wellington continue to try and play like fucking Spain 2008 to 2012. Well, that's doing Spain a bit of a disservice, isn't it? Anyway, Auckland are the complete opposite. You talk about set-piece goals, long throws, but the way they play, goal kicks, everything is looking for a 50-50 challenge because they back themselves in a 50-50 challenge every time.
Every single player is a fucking beast.
Exactly. And so they're playing to their strength, but they're not playing beautiful football. I think we can accept. Auckland do not play great football. It's not amazing to watch. It's not intricate passes. It's not, but they fucking love a 50-50.
Yeah.
And they, if they've given away 2 pens here, okay. Without that, they just try and bully teams.
100%. They've been doing it for ages. When you watch them behind play, the centre backs are fucking giving digs to the fucking young strikers. Yeah. Why not? They're a good team, but they're also fucking built. Why not?
Exactly.
Intimidate the opposition. Fucking win your tackles. Smash them into submission. If that's what it takes to win the league, fucking do it. And they're fucking
worked
flying.
for Wimbledon back in the 80s, early 90s. The Crazy Gang. There's a little bit of that about them. All right, time to shout a stat.
Colour.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. Okay, now, ardent followers of Stato on X or Twitter, of which I am no longer. Not because I've got anything against Stato, just because I'm taking a break from socials. Is that how you say it these days?
Yeah, fuck it. Leaving me to do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly. It's such a pain in the ass. Trying to have it, yeah. Okay, so Auckland versus Adelaide. You may have caught a bit of this. Stato is just giving us a little bit more on the pod. Auckland, Adelaide, Alphabetics. This was the AAA match of the round. Adelaide United starting 11 against Auckland included Ethan Allegich, Jay Barnett, Zach Clough, Yaya Dukuli, Jordan Elsey, Ben Falami, and Archie Goodwin. All the letters from A to G represented in Adelaide's starting 11. This is, wait for it, a new National League record for going furthest into the alphabet with consecutive letters for a starting 11. The previous record being from A to F. If we include all players from both teams in Saturday's game between Auckland and Adelaide, Cameron Howerson's substitution appearance for Auckland means that we went from A to H in the game. Now, while this is an impressive foray into the alphabet for all players in a game, Australia's all-time record for both teams in a game is from A to M. This last happened in a Perth Glory versus Macarthur game in April 2021 when Carlo Armiento, Luke Bodnar, Diego Castro, Matt Derbyshire, Bennett Echebarria, Bruno Fornaroli, Jason Guerrier, Jake Holman, Dane Ingham, Alex Jovanovic, Neil Kilkenny, Daryl Latchman, and Mark Milligan all played, all letters from A to M with their surname initials.
Ridiculous.
There you go.
Ridiculous.
Well played. Stato, we hope you still keep, and that he's on holiday and he sent that through in the small hours of the morning. Thank you, legend. Hats off to you. Buy his books.
Cheers, Andy.
People. let's keep moving. So this now we do get to our game, Macca, that we were calling together. This was a real A-League off-air fucking shitstorm of a match. In Brisbane. I don't really know where to start with this one. This looked like role reversal game throughout the 90 minutes. Henry Hoare gave Brisbane a deserved lead in the 20th minute. Casey Boss gave Melbourne Victory an undeserved equaliser in what, the 92nd, 93rd?
7th, wasn't it?
97th? Last kick of the game, 95th, 97th? Yeah, it was last kick of the game, basically.
90 plus 7.
Brisbane confirms that they have now gone 12 months without a home win. Their last had been against Melbourne Victory on the 3rd of March, the day we record this podcast. What can you say? I mean, Brisbane don't get much sympathy out of us, I think rightly, because they have been so shit and, you know, and have been gaslighting in their communication and trying, you know, saying all sorts of stuff that just doesn't add up.
Yeah. I felt sorry for them.
But they deserve this.
Yeah.
They deserve this every night of the week.
I felt sorry for the players of Brisbane on the weekend because Amanatides was great. He should have had 4. He just couldn't find a way to get that ball into the net.
And then he injured himself.
Yeah,
injured himself. Did his hammy
to the rebound.
Fuck.
They looked good. Abu Bakar was decent. Yeah, he looked lively. Obviously, he's not played a lot of football recently, so we knew he wasn't going to last. But they looked lively, them two up front together. Jay O'Shea was on the ball. I like Sam Klein. I thought he was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
They could have easily won this. Sorry?
Austin Ludwig.
Yeah, he was fantastic at the back as well. They should have won this game 4-0.
Yeah.
They should have. They were the better team by a mile. And Melbourne Victory were fucking dog shit.
Well, okay, now this is the point, I think, is because, yes, Brisbane were solid. Yes, they opened them up. But, I mean, it was basic balls over the top where they were getting in behind. Abubakar and Amanatides in that first 20 minutes. I mean, it wasn't – Brisbane can't just flick a switch after the fucking season they've had, after 16 games without a clean sheet, 16 games where they've won just once, where they set a new record for fucking shit at home.
For fuckery.
They're not – I want to see that in Stato's record books. Most shit at home, Brisbane, 2024, 2025. But, you know, I don't think they were amazing. I think Melbourne Victory have to shoulder the responsibility, a lot of it in this one, even though we do feel sorry for Brisbane. And yes, it was much improved performance. Fucking hell, Victory had nothing. They couldn't hit a pass. Piscopo, Mashash, up front, Virgos. There was nothing anywhere. Hamill and Miranda at the back. I mean, it was a disaster class.
Well, add to that Ryan Teague and Geordie Valadon, who have been exceptional this year as a partnership. They were mishitting passes.
They didn't drive anything. They didn't drive anything.
The lethargy in the team was so clear to see. Daniel Arzani, when he came on, I think his pass completion rate was something like 40%, or 45, something like it was awful. The balls that we got were consistently just under-hitting, not hitting the target, wrong side of the player so the defender could step in. It was awful across the board. And I will say, if any team is coming up against Melbourne Victory, all you are saying is bring them out towards halfway and get your quick players running in behind those two centre-backs because they are waiting to get a bucket load of goals scored against them in that manner. The amount of times we've seen them over the last few weeks where players just runs in behind, a little ball in behind those two centre-backs. Jets did it to great effect a couple of weeks ago. Brisbane, as I said, they should have had 4 goals. You know, and there's only so far that, you know, Mitch Langerak can sweep out behind them. So if I was an opposition, I'd be like, right, where's my quickest players? Get them up front, get a midfielder on the ball who can play balls in behind and fucking expose them, because they struggle big time with that. And they absolutely put their fucking Catburger goggles on, their striped top, got their swag out. They climbed in the window, stole a point and fucking ran out the window and ran home, because they didn't deserve to get anything out of that game. It was it was insipid, that performance, for a team like Melbourne Victory.
Well, having just bemoaned the lack of a good stolen a point celebration in Auckland, this one, respect Casey Boss. It's your first ever A-League goal. You know, you must be feeling fucking great. And he just goes, we are so shit. This is a young player as well. We are so shit. We don't deserve this. He didn't celebrate at all.
He was
his
like,
first ever goal.
Thank fuck. Thank fuck. We got a point. Yeah.
You know, fair play. But what can you say? I mean, Melbourne Victory, we thought they turned the corner with a couple of back-to-back wins after that. What'd they go? 6 games without a win under Arthur Dillis. Then they won back-to-back, and all of a sudden it's, whoa, here we go. They've been, a little bit unlucky in that run of 6 without a win, probably, during that period. Now they've won back-to-back. They're on their way. Now it's 1 win in 4, and this was their worst performance of the season.
Yeah.
Like, no questions asked. They've dropped to 6th, having been sitting, eyeing off second place for a lot of it. I don't know if there's really that much more to say, apart from the fact that Brisbane still have about 400 games in hand on the rest of the competition. And is the wooden spoon theirs? Don't know.
I don't think
we
it is.
We do have another team who are a bit shit.
Well,
you think it is?
Perth Glory's had played 20 games. Brisbane's only played 17. So
they've got 3 games in hand on them, and they're 4 points behind.
Yeah, it's not over for the spoon race yet, and that's something they don't. They might have got all these home games in a row without a win record and whatever. They went close to how many games without a win overall. Yeah. Brisbane's never had a wooden spoon. If they were to get that, then fuck.
Well, they are still in pole position.
They are.
Let's put it that way. But they are having, and maybe the fact that they can't win at home is no small comfort for them, but I think 4 of their next 5 are at home. I think they've been on a run of 1 in 5.
You've killed them. 4 home games out of 5 for a team that hasn't won a game in over a year. Fuck, come on, boys. Rally the troops.
Okay, next up. Now, this one I have to... So, Macarthur versus Sydney FC. After we'd commentated, Macca stayed in Sydney because he was coaching the next morning in Sydney. So he came around for pizza and to watch the game. Now, this is the first point of conjecture, because the pizza order very nearly didn't get placed because my partner is Italian, very Italian, molto italiana. And Macca tried to order a barbecue chicken pizza. Now, this doesn't fly in Italy.
I can picture her saying, what is
this? In Italy, if you haven't been to Italy, basically there are 2 types of pizza. There's one with cheese, and then there's one without cheese and just anchovies. And that's basically what you get. A margherita or a Napolitano or marinara or whatever. Anyway, fucking hell. The chicken pizza was allowed into the house in the end. And as Macca, how would you say?
I said you need to, because she just berated me saying, what is this, what is this? I said, just because Italians made pizza doesn't mean you can't expand your horizons. And this is good. And she was like, no. I said, you'll like it if you try it. And lo and behold, I left a couple of pieces.
Next morning.
Yeah. And I also warned her too that she had lucky because my other pizza that I might have got would be ham and pineapple, and she nearly slapped me in the face.
Yeah. So anyway, the next day, she tried a piece of and liked it. So there you go. Victory for the barbecue chicken pizza.
See, we're breaking down boundaries. We're knocking down walls here. We're culturally, we're expanding.
This is what football does. You see, this is what football does.
Exactly.
The other comment on this game that came from the better half was the fact that Macarthur appeared to have vaginas printed on their jerseys. This pink folding, she was like, look, there's the clitoris. There's a clitoris on the jersey.
Very much enamoured with those shirts.
Yeah. She is a feminist artist, though, so she sees clitoris everywhere. Yeah. So, anyway, they were there. I think you didn't have to imagine too hard to imagine Luke Bratton walking around with the clitoris on his right hip. Anyway, let's talk about the game. This was the red card derby. We heard in commentary Simon saying all 6 previous matches between these two had featured a red card. It was 0-0 at half-time. Macarthur had switched back to a back 4. They're still without all those players that have left. Obviously, they're not coming back, so we know it's going to be tough for them from here on out. But it was really the second half where Philip Curto kept them in the game for as long as he did. In the end, goals from Klimala and then a fucking comedy special from Adrian Segacic, which was not a great goal to concede, particularly in a red card derby. Kevin Bolly was caught in possession, basically playing out from the back. It was a classic play out from the back disaster. Segacic continuing to score. What more to say? Philip Curto, I think he must have had a listen to A-League off air, because we were saying he's not the goalkeeper he has been of previous seasons so far this year. He was outstanding. Yeah. Outstanding.
Yeah. And I think he could put claim to when everyone's on their best form, he could put claim to being up, in contention for the best goalkeeper in the league, because some of those saves were ridiculous. And if you have a look on our stats page where you can see where the shots and how many shots have come in, where they are on the pitch, it looks like someone spilt the fucking paint block on the Macarthur end of the field, because it's just fucking purple dots everywhere of where Sydney's got their shots away. Because at the other end there's like 6 fucking lonely little dots that are.
Wasn't it after 20 half an hour or something? It was like, or even shorter. It was like 20 minutes. It was like 12 shots to 1.
Well, half time, it's 13 shots to 2, 3 on target to none. Half-time. But then it just gets worse as it goes on. At full time, it's 26 shots to 6, 10 on target to 1. Yeah. And if Philip Curto wasn't there, let's be honest, it would have been a cricket score, 5-0 easy, could have been. Yeah. And that you brought up Douglas Costa earlier. He looked like he was just. He was good. Yeah, he was enjoying himself. Yeah. He had a good joke on the camera after. I used to be able to be fast. Now I used to be fast, but now I have to work on my other parts of my game. But there was that outside of the pass cross that he put in. That again, a great save
for Klimala's. Yeah, great save. Yeah.
Let's be honest, Sydney dominated this game.
Completely.
Macarthur hardly got a sniff. There was only one team in it. The Sydney players at one stage, it was the old Orlees, because they were just, it was, once they'd scored, it was like just enjoying themselves. The way they bounced the ball, little 1-2s, Caceres, little back heels to players. There was only one result ever happening, wasn't there? Yeah. And they brought their fans with them as well. They had 8,000, which is great. We want to see these teams build. And if they
biggest ever crowd.
Yeah,
biggest ever crowd at Campbelltown.
And if they can start to build and foster this rivalry and another Sydney derby, then that's only going to get better and grow. And that's what we want to see. So, like we said, we missed last week, so maybe we haven't touched on it too much, but it's hard for Macarthur. They've lost coaching staff. They've lost three or so top players. Four who were into their influential in their campaign. So Millet's
we haven't spoken about the post Valère fallout, which happened during our last pod. Do we need to? I mean, it's off field. We don't really need to, and he's gone.
It's all done now,
except for the fact that people who continue to say he left because of the referees, but please, people, it had fucking nothing to do with the referees. He had 3 months left on his contract here. He got offered a full year's contract, ka-ching ka-ching in Japan, you don't have to be fucking rocket science to work out that he's not going to say, I'm leaving for the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, they try and come up with all sorts of fucking weird-ass excuses. There's nothing... End of argument on why Valère Germain left. And he said in the interview with Tarzinia,
No,
that
Jana,
half-hour interview...
Was it Tara Vent or Jana?
Tara
That's
Vent.
our new Jana Vent. She did a very good interview and he swore twice in there. And
But he also said, I feel like a bit of a dick to leave my team. But this is you
my
know,
career,
we're
this is my
professional
life.
footballers. You think that people want to come to Australia for fun? No, they come to Australia to play because they can't find another contract and they get offered money.
Yeah.
And then, as their contract's nearly up, they think, is anyone going to give me any more money? Oh, fuck, here's some money in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm going. Accept it, people. This is the way it works. The economy of footballers is like this.
But this is an argument I've heard for years and years and years and years from people who have never played football. Fuck, he's going to chase the money. And my argument
where's
is,
the loyalty?
if
What
you're
about
getting
the club?
paid $50,000 a year to be a plumber, and someone comes in and says, "I'll give you $200,000 a year to do the same job," and you're going to fucking say no. Fuck off. Yeah. And you can be a plumber for fucking 40 years. You can't be a footballer for 40 years. So I have no qualms if someone's got a deal to go somewhere that's better. The club, I think, got a little bit of money for him as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So in the end, the club...
Yeah, that was the other thing. It was mentioned that it was a release or whatever, termination of contract. No, it wasn't.
No. Yeah. So the club got a bit of money for him. Yeah, okay. Would they want him to keep him? Probably. Could they match the wages that he was offered? No. So everyone gets, in the end, they get their transfer fees from the other three players, or other two players have gone as well. And then I'm 100% sure in the off season, Millet will go out and get a couple of other foreigners to come in and do the job. So that's fucking football. Get on with it.
Exactly. Well, that's what he's done. I mean, how he's brought in Cowie and Bolly and who's that?
Bolly just had a
Macrolos?
shit touch that cost him the second goal. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
But he wasn't going to be playing up front.
Swings and roundabouts.
Exactly. All right, let's keep moving. Macarthur, we'll run through the table in a bit, but that was a bad result for Macarthur, who are now winless in 3 losses in a row, 1 point from 12. They have dropped from, like everyone who was second at 1 point over the last month, they have dropped from second and now find themselves in 8th place. They are 4 points out of the 6 and basically are going to struggle. They're going to struggle from here on in because they've lost their top goal scorer. They've lost Jed Drew. So it was 4. Arslanagic and Jones. Pjol, 5. So that's 5 that have gone. So look, they're doing it tough. Jake Holman had an injury.
It's a tough job for them, but Millet Sturgis is the kind of coach who go, that's football, let's get on with it.
Absolutely, and they have. They are getting on with it, but it doesn't mean they're going to stay in second place.
No, it's going to be. I think it's going to be tough to make the finals now for them, but they're still in the hunt. They're still right there. Let's see.
Yeah. They're about. Okay, who the fuck am I? The last one, a couple of weeks ago, the answer was it was an Italian who'd played in the A-League for 1 season, I think. Oh, well, in the A-League, but I think in New Zealand. Marco Rossi was the answer, the player who'd been banned for 18 months for his involvement in the betting scandal, which I had to refresh my memory. So that was 2011. Normally every year there's a betting scandal. Italy win the World Cup. 1982, Paolo Rossi, before he was suspended, best player at the World Cup. 2006, Juve sent down to the second division. They win the World Cup. 2012 didn't happen for them. There was no World Cup in 2012. 2010, 2014. Anyway, that's probably why they got their fucking betting scandal in the wrong year.
Date. Yeah.
Idiots. They couldn't even fix the match correctly for the right year for the national team. Anyway, Marco Rossi was suspended, along with some names you may have heard of who picked up suspensions along the way. Antonio Conte, ringing any bells, done for not revealing match fixing, I think. He ended up getting his down to just 4 months. Cristiano Doni, who was captain of Atalanta. Loads of clubs were involved. Atalanta, Empoli, all Siena, all picked up. Giuseppe Signori, the former Bologna and Lazio striker, Italian national team striker. In fact, at Euro 2012, the Italian national team coach, Cesare Prandelli, said, I would understand if UEFA booted us out of this competition. So widespread, so many people were involved in this. The whole fucking thing was rigged. And the beauty of this is, and which I always still laugh about when people think everything's clean now. It wasn't that long ago we had the fucking cycling. Now we've got the tennis. This was 10, 12 years ago, widespread match fixing across every level of Italian football. People think now it's not happening. Oh, that was so long ago. It was fucking 10 years ago. You know? The A-League was already 10 years old
whenever
when this
there's
is
a
going
way
on.
For someone to manipulate the system, there's going to be people who will fucking try.
It's going to happen. Absolutely. And that in look at, anyway, fucking let's keep moving. Who the fuck am I? Next up, just don't get all nostalgic and say now, we're better than before. Don't judge. You're going to get fucked up. The world is as shit today as it ever has been in all domains. So there we go.
There's your quote for the day, guys. That's the way you can live your life today. Yeah. The world is as shit today as it always has been. Fucking go out there, go forth with a smile on your face and tell every motherfucker to eat a dick.
And so just to lift us a little bit out of the mire, who the fuck am I? From a very sporting family. I was born overseas where my parents were based as professional athletes. After moving home, I grew up playing football and soon signed for the biggest club in the country as a youth player. I went on to play and captain said team, winning 4 domestic league titles and the cup before moving to England. I returned after a couple of years in England to my homeland, played for 2 of the main clubs in the country there, then had 1 season in the A-League, winning the grand final before immediately heading off to the MLS and then finishing my career at my hometown club. I also played 6 times for my country, scoring twice. Who the fuck am I? It's a little bit vague, but obviously I'm a grand final winner. I played internationally, sporting family, played in England. There you go. Just the 1 season in the A-League.
Right.
If you know, let us know. If you think you know.
If you know, let me know, because fucking Robbie's not on socials at the moment.
Exactly. Let Macca know, and he'll
And
answer
I'll go,
on
I don't
behalf
know, I'll
of
have
the
to ask
team.
Robbie.
Okay, last game of the round was yesterday afternoon. Western Sydney Wanderers v Perth. Again, I watched this one with a gentle lager in the late afternoon. Western Sydney, good value for this. They could have had fucking 10 goals early on. Sapsford is a real poison up front with his movement. Should really have scored. Had a great miss. Fantastic miss, really, except that you can sort of understand.
No fucking way.
How...
No. I was in the car when this was on, driving back from Sydney, and I had the sound on and my phone was down in the little thing. And I stopped at the lights and it happened and I looked down and fucking couldn't stop laughing because I know how he'll be thinking, how the fuck did I miss that? The fact that he was a yard out and it goes in slow motion in front of him and he just doesn't react in time. I just thought it was comedy. Yeah, he's like, he had a great game, but that to me, I just thought it was fucking hilarious. That was good.
Okay. Otherwise, in this one, so Adam Taggart, probably against the run of play, got the goal for Perth just 5 minutes in. They led. Unfortunately, they were never really at the races, and this was the big problem with Perth today. I think Zdrilla said in the post-match interview afterwards, we did have chances, it's true. Mizau.
Yep.
By the way, he had,
Hit the post twice.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the post twice. But one of them, Glenn Lauder and Mossy, when they said, missile, both times it sounded like missile. and I was thinking they could have maybe just run with that a little bit more. Obviously what they both would have wanted to run with our commentary team, but it's not A-League off air, so they couldn't, was going hard on the contractual Ollie Sale fuck up midway through the second half. Some really good saves and then just fucking the contractual brain fade.
Yeah.
He must have ADHD or something. Like he can't get, maybe they've got to get him some, what's the study drug? Ritalin. Yeah. Is that allowed? Everyone else is fucking taking drugs.
I don't know, mate, but it was.
Did I tell you I saw recently that Pep Guardiola tested positive for nandrolone when he was playing?
Did he?
Anyway, just putting that out there. Yeah. Fucking drug cheat. Okay.
You got that off your chest. Good.
I've got lots on my chest. Yeah.
Well, it's one stone at a time, mate. One little pebble at a time. Let's be honest. Perth weren't really in the game.
No.
Western Sydney were good.
Played good football.
Yeah, and they do go from back to front in transition counter-attacking football very well. They go with numbers. They go with pace. Yeah. There's people fucking running everywhere. Krajev's goal was a good goal, good finish, good build-up.
He played well. Yeah. First half, he was good.
We've said it before, he's been very underwhelming for us this year. But Sapsford caused all kinds of problems.
Yeah, Borrello. I mean, when you talk about going inside out and that transition, when it doesn't come off, they just look like headless chickens.
Yeah.
Because they're all fucking flying in every direction. And Borrello in particular is just madness. But when it comes off, like he did that for that massive miss from Sapsford, he did a really nice little feint to cross early, take on Murchula, cut the ball back. They could have had more.
Well, even
what can you say? Honestly,
look at Hammond's goal, the one I think it was his first, where he took it out of his feet and smashed it in the top corner.
Yeah.
Great finish.
Yeah.
But fuck me, how he can. And I think it was Murchula. I rewound it a few times, and I'm trying to work out it was Murchula. I'm pretty sure it was the one in front of him. He had one coming on his left side straight on him, and Murchula was coming from the right side of him, and he just shifted it to the side.
Yeah,
to get
and too easy. Yeah,
way
but he
too
didn't
easy.
Lift it. Yeah, absolutely.
Too easy.
I agree
like
entirely.
And
I watched that dribble several times.
Yeah, and I watched it just to see fucking who was the defender, because it was just, you're on the edge of the box. You can't just give yourself up that easily. And look, like I said, don't take anything away from the strike, because it was an absolute wonder strike. But he shouldn't be able to get that strike. That should be blocked.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree. The second one was it was Krajev's shot that bounced back to him.
Yeah.
Was that
came
right?
Came back off the post and came out and he tapped it.
That's right.
Into
and
an
then
empty
he finished,
net. He was good. I'm going to be honest, this is the one I was driving home, and then when I got home, family was making dinner and I had it on in the background, and so I was sort of watching that they dominated, but if you're going to ask me for a in-depth tactical analysis, you aren't going to get it like every other game that I fucking talk about.
Priestman got a rare goal for him, which was nice. Then Krajev finished it off. Poor old Krajev, I remember mentioning that his last goal, the cameras got obscured and we couldn't see his goal celebration. This one, he ran towards the crowd, hoping that all his teammates would come and celebrate with him, and then he just turned around, where the fuck is everyone? Because no one came as he did his slow-mo walking to get jumped on. It was a bit sad. You've got to sort this out earlier, boys. We know you only train for an hour and a half a day. Then
that
gym work, whatever,
prevention.
You've got lots of time to get this shit sorted.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you've been shown up by Keane and Markovsvski at Canberra United. Get your shit together.
When you look at Perth, Rizzo's come back. Now he's suspended for the next game, but he's also had ice on his leg, or ankle, whatever it was. So you're looking and going, last things really needs was that.
Well, that back four, they're all, I'm trying to think, there's Risdon, Murchula, and then the two Japanese boys.
Yeah.
Misao and Otokano or whatever.
Yeah. Okamoto.
That's all new.
Yeah.
All new as of, well,
Relatively.
Merchulu arrived just before January, but, it's crazy that they've changed so many elements of their team, and everyone's saying, look, Perth have turned the corner. They're staying in contest. This is now a big run without a win for them since their 2 wins, and Brisbane are coming up.
Where's the young fella that's been playing? Is it Freeney? He wasn't there.
Yeah, Will Freeney. No, didn't see him. Pierman obviously was away with the under-20s.
Yeah. And so was Lizalowski's been away as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's been there as well, yeah. That's true.
I think that might do us,
Will
Rob?
Freeney, didn't see him. No, nothing more to say about that one. All right, let's have a quick look at the ladder. Where do we say it? They have 9 matches left.
They've won.
They're 8 points clear at the top. Auckland, inaugural season premiers, emulating Western Sydney Wanderers in 2012-13.
Yeah.
Perhaps, or perhaps not, but they do look.
Give it to them now.
Have fucking done it.
Give it to them. Just give it to them. Pay out now. Go on. I dare you.
But then it is very good because we have 6 teams from Western United who are back up to second, down to Sydney in 7th and still outside the 6, covered by just 3 points. So literally, Sydney FC could beat Western United and move from 7th to 2nd in the league. That's if they were playing each other next round, which I don't know. Then Macarthur are 8th. So in the 6 at the moment, Western United 32, Adelaide 32, Wanderers 31. They are climbing on the back of 3 straight wins. And I think that's the first time 3 straight wins in, a decade for the Wanderers? I remember I was calling a game of theirs earlier in the season where they could have got 3 straight wins, and they didn't do it, and it was like for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
Maybe not a decade. That does seem like a lot, but they have been not great for a while. Melbourne City are also on 31 points. Melbourne Victory on 30 after back-to-back draws, and then Sydney, who got back to winning ways. They're still not out of the woods yet, Sydney, and of course they are in Korea today. I saw young Quintal join up with them at the airport after winning the Asian Cup and heading there.
Wanderers 3 in a row was 2021.
There you go. So nearly a decade.
Just and said,
nearly a decade.
Yeah, really close to a decade. It's as close to a decade as Corbin Piper's header was as close to being on target.
Yeah, so we're close.
Yeah.
I will also stress that once you pass 50, you fucking... The last thing you want to do is keep paying attention to years, decades, years, weeks.
Wouldn't know, mate. I'm just a young pup.
Exactly. No, but you'll get there. Don't worry. That's the cruelty of it. It's inevitable, mate. Okay, so then Sydney, 29 points just outside the 6. Macarthur, 25 points in a bit of purgatory in the middle there, not really still in the hunt. Perhaps if they can turn things around, they're playing with fear in the belly. Newcastle, the team that are flying, 3 in a row, 9th place, 21 points.
17 games.
Exactly. They have played the fewest games along with Brisbane Roar. Mm-hmm. So if they were, for example, to win their 2 games in hand and make it 5 wins on the bounce.
Be 5 points off second.
They'd still be 5 points. Oh, yeah, off second, but also 6th.
No, also 8th.
Yeah. And then probably Mariners, who are in all sorts of trouble, Phoenix, who are in all sorts of trouble. There's one thing saying that they're potentially still in the hunt. There's another thing of saying they're still there points-wise, but on form, they have to try and turn things around. That's a lot more difficult. And then, of course, we have Perth and Brisbane. Perth doing their best to stay in the wooden spoon hunt.
Correct.
This weekend, really, they shouldn't even be in that conversation, but they are.
This weekend, I'm going down to Melbourne for 2 nights, Melbourne Friday and Saturday, Melbourne City versus Macarthur and Melbourne Victory versus the Mariners. What are you doing?
What round? Oh, this is the other thing about the round. So this is round 21
Fuck. Don't start.
coming up.
For everyone out there,
Hang on,
yellow cards, right? 5 yellow cards is a 1-game suspension, but your team, that's for your team to play 20 games.
Exactly.
So for Jets players and Brisbane players, they've got another 3 games of trying to get through that threshold. Then the threshold goes up to 8 yellow cards. We have to clear that up this week because it's all over the fucking shop.
It always is every year. But this year in particular with the bye rounds and everything. So this is round 22 coming up. And we've got 2 teams who have only played 17 games.
Yeah.
And no one has played 21.
No.
So
mental.
Go figure. Yeah, go figure. Well done. If it wasn't fucking confusing enough. Friday night, Melbourne City versus Macarthur. So you're there for that one, Macca.
Yeah.
And then staying for...
Victory Central
Oh,
Coast.
I was going to say, you're going to Tarneet, Western United, Wellington Phoenix.
No,
but no,
I
I
haven't
see. No.
Who you got?
Melbourne.
There's Adelaide, Brisbane Saturday, and Western United, Wellington. And then there's the
Brisbane.
Jets versus Auckland. We all, for the sake of it being a close run, we need the Jets to beat Auckland. And that's nothing against Auckland. We just want to see the title race run longer as we can and more teams.
But we just gave the title
finals.
to Auckland.
Yeah, I know, but this could change everything. Can the Jets, the unlikeliest of heroes, can they be that?
Yeah, fucking earth. That would be highly unlikely. Why not?
3 in a row.
If they've got the boxing, got the boxing gloves off,
they have. They've got the football boots on. They've got the delivery.
Exactly.
They've got goal scorers. It's all happening at the Jets. They're on an upward trajectory.
They need to fight against this Auckland side. Okay, so you're in Melbourne for Victory Central Coast as well.
Only 5 games.
That's not a great one to call. Yeah, as well, which shits me. What are we looking at there? Has someone already played from this round, or is there another game?
Who?
Oh, it's Sydney. No, it's Sydney FC are not playing because they're in Champions League.
Yeah, so.
As well, because it's in between Champions League matches for them. Who else is not playing?
No, Perth.
The Knicks are there.
I can't see Perth. No Sydney, no Perth, and no someone else.
No Wanderers.
Wanderers, there you go.
No Wanderers.
All right, let's wrap this shit up. Let's go.
Yeah, fucking that'll do. Okay, well, we managed to pop this one out. Well played. Good on you, Macca.
Yeah. Don't go on socials because Robbie's never fucking there, so.
Exactly. Don't forget, no point being on socials. Don't follow. Don't just subscribe so that it shows up and fuck the rest. Enjoy it. Enjoy the A-League. It is our league. Best fucking league in the world, as we know. And we will say goodbye. We'll hopefully see you next week. Although I'll tell you what, it's a day-to-day fucking
It nearly didn't happen today. The back and forth for this one was fucking long. Righto, see yous.
Good stuff. See you, people.